Hi, my name is Ralph. Welcome back to our channel, and today we're going to work on our valve checking machine, the one that's sort of a Trock clone that we're trying to make. I'm not quite sure what it's going to work out or not, but we're going to make the effort in and see what we can do. I know it'll be an invaluable tool to have in my arsenal of tricks if I can make one and make it work. While you're here, hit the subscribe button, the like button, ring the bell. All these things help us and help our channel grow. And then we're able to make more videos and keep on moving with things. I'm not quite sure what it's going to work out or not, but we're going to make the effort in and see what we can do to check out these valves, because I feel that I really need this to be assured of where I'm going because of the problem that developed before. So follow us along. Let's get at it. As you can see, we have it set up on Eleanor, our plasma cutter here to cut, and we've kind of designed up the shape. We're not quite sure where we're going, but with the little drawings that I've tried to make and everything, I have to have a starting point somewhere. So I kind of know what I'm looking for here, and I need a starting point for the mount to be built from. So I turned these little pieces down in the lathe, two little pieces, and they'll be the starting mounting place for my plate. I don't think I'll put the washer on because it will interfere, I'm sure, with the rest of the unit once I go to build it. And these are just the rocker arm bolts. We're going to reuse them. I'll get myself a couple of them once we have it designed up. So I've sort of got this stuck in here so to give me an idea of where the valve is going to sit. I figure the unit's going to be about 8 inches long at the bottom, but I know that when this arm comes out here, I'm going to be even wider, trying to have my mounting block there per se. So I think I'm going to go like 9 inches. I got 8 there. Give me 9. Better make it 10 inches. So our plate, I was thinking we'll weld to these. One makes more work, one makes less, but if I prepare to put a couple little bends in it, so it'll kind of go out like that and around the valve, I think that will do for what I'm looking for. We also have enough room to hold our gauge on the mount, which is going to have to be out there. So we're going to have to be somewhere up here height-wise. I've got nothing to lose by, or nothing to gain by making it tight, and we just want to make it work. So across there is about my center here. I need these arms to climb up here. And those can also curve up there to eliminate that. I see the Trock ones going like that, so why couldn't I? Pull up one piece here. It's bound to take a little digging with, but I think we can do it. So I'm going to go in to see Eleanor and kind of draw this out a little bit and see how it will go. These arms might be a little long on it, but I'd rather have it long and then I can cut it off afterwards. I've made these so that I can bend them around the tops of the heads. So it'll give me support, and I'll put that down in, and maybe it's overkill again, but I'm going to put some screws in there and hold it so that there's no way when I put pressure on that valve with the springs that it's going to pop up. I understand that sometimes when you get them halfway down, you get like 300 pounds or more pressure on them, so we need something that doesn't flex, and I think this is going to work out just fine. We've already cut it out on the plasma cutter, our first one, so we're going to give it a try and see how it's going to work with the sizes and things like that, the way we want it to fit on the head. So we'll move along and see what we can get with that. A little bit of a bend on that one. ever so slightly. So I think the plan is I'm going to cut a small piece that we can weld in here on the same angle as that, the hole in it, and a piece of thicker stuff on here to thread it, and the same on this side. That's it. Then if I sink some screws in here, this small runner, that will help lock it down. So these two and these ones will lock it down. It'll never go anywhere. So I think the thing to do is to tack weld these ones to start with. Then we'll put one on here. And we'll just see how much more perhaps it may have to go out on that. I think that's what we'll go with. Just decide the exact spot where I want it. And we can always trim this off. We don't need it. This here should give us enough that we can crank that down on that. We'll move this over accordingly whereabouts we want it. Gonna mount this up in here somehow, and a little piece to go across here. We're gonna put a top on this with a screw in it so that I can push this valve stem up and down. Yeah, so that'll be a job for tomorrow to try and finish that up and get it in place, and then we'll be able to adjust our valves and see where the hell we're going with them. Like I say, I wanted one of them tools for a long time, but not available anymore, so why not make your own and see what happens? I think we can do it, and it's coming along nicely. So I got some of my pieces ready to go for the head, and what we've done is just I've turned down a couple pieces here and just drilled a hole through them so that they can bolt to the head where they would in any Evolution style head. I'm not quite sure where the ears are going here, but I'm not going to cut anything off until I know exactly how I'm going to mount my gauges and such. But this is a starting point here, and I also have little pieces that I've turned out here that will bolt down here to secure it. So when the pressure is this way, it will help hold it down. I don't know if I need it or not, and it might be overkill, but it's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to try anyway. So we're going to try and tack it together, get some things bent up, and see if we can get it fitting right to start with. Before I cut some other pieces to go with it. All right, let's get at it. So we've got our pieces welded up in here. We got to clean it off some. It ain't real pretty, but pretty's not the issue. So that should fit right like that. Just tweak this one a little bit. Just going to bend it in the vise. So we're trying to get these ears just bent out here a little bit because I've made these pieces to go down into there. Right now I'm off by a hair, so we're just going to give them a little twist, see which way they go. That one looks about right. I'm going to go out a little bit right there at the bend. Bring that one out because we're almost perfect there. So before we go too far, I'm going to tweak that out. It's already bent there, so. This one's lining up just right. This one here needs to just come out a little tiny bit. It's more cosmetic than anything there, but since I've gone this far, Still not quite out far enough where I'd like to have it. Just need this little one. I think I need it to bend in just a tiny bit. All right, we'll go put some tacks on these here now. There we go. So it looks like we're getting it done pretty good. This is the plan. We have to weld a little piece on, and we're going to make it go up through here. And we'll weld it to this plate for strength, and this plate for alignment. Then we got to get a hole in it, in line with our valves, that we can then put our long adjusting screw in here. So we need to come out a little ways in order to center up in it. So we need a piece that's fairly wide there, and we'll mount that so we can adjust that down and give us lots of room. Once that's in there, we just need to mount our gauge here and make some sort of little hoo-ha to connect it so that it can go up and down when we tighten the valve, and it'll be out of our way for tightening it. That'll be the big thing. So I think I'm going to gear up something there. I haven't quite figured it out yet. I think I'm going to make a plate that slides down over that, and that'll give me the ability to move the plate and set the angle where I want to have it. But it's trial and error as we go. But we've got our screws and we've got our nuts, and we've got this unit this far, and I think that it's going to work for all it's supposed to do. Like I said before, sometimes it's a lot of work to make something, but some tools I always wanted to have. And the only way I got them was to make something like them that worked. Yes, some of them are not the quality of the other ones, but as far as function, they work well. So this is just another tool that I can make that I think I'm going to be really happy with, and I'll be glad to show you how it works once we get it done. That's about it for today. So I got a few more steps to go tomorrow, and we should have this thing operating. I hope. All right, so now we got Eleanor ready here, and our program is up for our small pieces. We've cut out the big pieces, and I didn't get video of that, but I got some of the small pieces there. So you get the idea anyway. It's all cut out on the plasma machine. Now we're going to take our small pieces and see if I'm going to be able to use them like I want to have them in there. I cut some little slots in my pieces there so that I'll be able to take them over to my thing and slide these down over the edge and lock them in and get them approximately where I want to tip these things at. You'll see when I'm doing it, it'll be a little easier, and this is what my gauge is going to mount on, so I'm hoping that these are going to work for me. So we'll go over to the piece there and have a look and see what we can do now with that. You never know. If you don't try, you don't get nowhere. Tap out these little pieces that'll hold our gauge. That's the plan. Instead of welding a nut on, I guess I could weld a nut on, but this metal's pretty thick. Hold that gauge on and the pressure it'll take. This should be fine. We need a 3/8 tap. We're just going to tap it out now to see if I'm close to alignment. These are the ones we're going to use to push down on our valves, hopefully. There's not much there, but before I put a whole big cut in them, and if I get enough bite in it, for all intents and purposes, it might just work. at least give us a starting point. If I'm not lined up, I'll know where I am. I'll drill the hole out bigger and weld a nut to it. Well, now that I got things pretty close, we're going to take it all apart and weld it up and clean it up, and then reassemble it and see what I got. Other than my little pieces to connect my my gauges with, is the last thing I have left, I think. But it looks like everything else is going to work out just right. So I'm pretty pleased with that. New tool for the toolbox, but it's not done yet, so we'll have to wait and see. All right. So let's see what we got. That on. Pop that in. Everything should fit without any. Everything should fit without any twisting. Everything seems to be dropping right in place. To make some nylon pieces for the bottoms of these screws. Not something that's completely necessary, but something that I'd like to do. Just as an extra feature if I've gone this far. Alright. So far so good. Now we'll have to make our little pieces to go across here. We can hook on these so when the valves move down we can measure. Yeah, looks like okay. These will work good to turn the valves down, so the idea is that once they're down, whatever the measurement is, try that, that's quite a bit. You should be able to flip this right over on its ears and be able to look in there and see. Now you can see between the valves, be able to measure that once we have the specs on what they're supposed to be when they're both open. Pretty cool. Pretty cool, buddy. All right, we're almost there. I'm gonna make my little nylon pieces now for the bottoms of the big screws. And we have to make something across here to hold these up. I still haven't quite got that figured out yet. It's always something. So we still got a few things to dick with there. I need to make little nylon pieces to go on the ends of the screws. And I'm still not quite sure in the supports as to what I'm gonna make across there. But the majority of it seems to be fine, and I'm looking forward to getting it finished. So I'm going to go ahead and see what I can do with the nylon parts, and I'm excited about using it. So I got to figure out how I'm going to put them little pieces on there. Yeah, you can see it opening the valve. That's it. That's going to work. I just need to figure out my little hoo-haws to go over here and here. Gonna have to shorten these little buggers up just a little bit. I'm just not quite cutting it. There, now we've shortened it up a little bit, so I'm hoping it's gonna fit in there. So now that we have all our little pieces assembled, I'm pretty pleased with the way it's working. Our valve measuring tools are here. The little pieces that we've made hit on the tops of the valves and go up and down, and we can set our dial indicators at 0. As we put our handle in and we crank it down, this tells us how much the valve is opening at top dead center lift, and the manufacturers give you those specs, so we have something to work with. But I'm pretty pleased with the way it looks and the way it works, and I think it's going to be great. I can also flip it backwards like that to look in here and see what's happening, and it doesn't affect my dials or anything, because the way we designed it with these big ears, they keep it sitting there, and we don't have to worry about hitting these or hurting these at all. So we're going to go along and use it and try to figure out this head, and just to see how far our valves are when they're both open, and that gives us a point to work from, and hopefully we can correct this problem for good. So we seem to be ready now, and according to our calculations, it says 249 on the intake and 250 on the exhaust. So we've got them zeroed out here. We're going to go round one. 1, 2, 10, 20, 30, 40, 9, 1, 2, 20, 30, 40, and 50. That should be our marks. So now that both valves are open, we can measure them here, and I can just get a 13/1000th of an inch feeler gauge in there. And that should be 30 thou at least, possibly not 60 thou. But we're tight there, so it's danger, Will Rogers. Danger. So we're gonna have to do something about that for sure. So that shows you that our valves are really close together there. We should have 30/1000th of an inch at least, if not 60 for clearance. I put the old original valves back in there to see where they were at, and now we see why they were ticking. So we're gonna go to work and sink our valves in there and try to go for the clearance that we need in there and fix these heads so that they don't have this problem again. So stay tuned for our next video when we're gonna have these things fixed. Hopefully we're gonna show you how we fix them and start assembling this motor and getting it back to Barrie.